Bamford for Texas High and QB1 Brayson McHenry. Coach, we got Marshall this week. What are we expecting?
I think we're expecting a really good football game in 9-5 AD2. I think it's a highly touted matchup that we've had on our schedule, kind of looking at it since we got our schedule back in February, that this has been one of those games that we've marked and said we know this is going to be possibly for part of the district championship, the historical rivalry that we're real excited about to be able to go down to Marshall and play.
It seems like that everybody, we're going to kind of get their best this year, that everybody's kind of gunning for Texas High. They see us in the rankings moving up, but Marshall always gears up for Texas High.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, the historical value in this one is at the top. Go back to basketball last season in the playoffs and just the crowd atmosphere, the intensity of the game. It's gonna ramp up a lot right here, and so we're excited about that. I mean, those are the kind of games you dream for and you wake up at night thinking about, and so we're excited to be on there.
Coach, one of the things that I went back and looked at today as far as y'all's district, it's taking perfection to be at the top. You've got three teams, that have a perfect season so far in the district, and you talk about how important this, with Marshall being in fourth place basically right now, this could be determining the seeding. How important do you put anything as far as keeping that season perfect, or is the goal just to? I mean, what's your goal this year?
Yeah, when you just break it down by game, I mean, the goal is obviously to win this game. When you look at the value of our district and where you want to be, we want that home field advantage in the first round, which is the top two seeds in our district get a home field advantage in the first round, and so we want those things, and ultimately we want to win our district. I mean, that's the first letter in what we talk about in the acronym every week is first. We want to win district first, then we want to win the first round, then we want to play at Christmas, then we want to play in a state championship. And so we've got these incremental goals throughout the year that we're looking forward to, and this is kind of a part of the first notch in that goal.
Brayson, let's go back to let's put Marshall on the shelf right now. Let's go back to last week. Talk a little bit about your play individually and the team's play.
I thought I played pretty good. I only got hit once the entire game, so that made it.
Shout out to the O-line, right?
And then the receivers played great, and they made a bunch of great plays. So everyone else played really good, so then it made it look like I did good. But
let's look forward to Marshall now. What do you expect coming in? And really your team, what do you expect from your team?
I expect us to go out there and play how we've practiced and how we've played all year. We're prepared. We say it every week. Our coaches do a great job of preparing us for everything we're going to see, so I expect us to come out ready.
Bob, I brought up the elephant in the room a little earlier as far as the perfect season. How much do you carry that on your shoulders?
Obviously we want to win every game and win state, so that's our goal.
Gotcha.
What about talk a little bit? We mentioned the O-line. Talk a little bit about how comfortable you feel behind them. If you know what they're going to do, and do you expect to have to run any, or do you think, hey, I just need to sit back here and do my job?
Yeah, I'm ready to run if I have to, but they definitely take a lot of pressure off of me because I can go through all the reads and I can sit back there and do my job because I don't have to worry about anything else with them.
Coach, talk a little bit about last week and how the game went, and if you had to change up your game plan any. It seems like we started a little bit slow, and then we really picked up.
Offensively, we kind of started the game the way we wanted to. We took the ball first. We kind of wanted to take the air out of the game a little bit, kind of take away some of the sting of the game, try to settle in, and we were able to go down and score. We had to punt twice in the first half offensively, but I really thought we played as about as consistent of a game as we've played all year long. Really settled into the game. We talked about this as a team today. One of the things we've done a really good job of all year on both sides of the ball is very few penalties, very few turnovers, and we've been able to create turnovers. And I think when we can stay in the positive margins of both of those situations, it allows us to play in a rhythm. And so we don't want an ugly game. We want it to be a clean, crisp, sharp game.
Do you think that your week of preparation this week is for Marshall a big game, or are you looking at it as like any other game, and how do the players feel?
No, it's not just any other game. I mean, it's the next game on our schedule. That's the one we're going to play, but no, it's not just any other game from the standpoint of, we know this is a big test. They've made that clear on their end. This is their job to test us. We know that's going to be a test, and we know there's going to be a lot of pressure put on our offense within that. But at the same time, that's what we're built for, and that's what we look for. We look forward to games like this. This is where you find out your true character, you know, iron in the fire type deal, and let's see how hot it can get and see what we're made of here.
Brayson, you do anything different for a big game like this, or do you just keep plugging away?
No, just keep it all the same.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How have you been? Looks like in East Texas, Texarkana specifically, COVID's starting to spread a little bit more. What type of, I guess, discussions do you have with your players? I know the schools are doing a great job, but I mean, once they get out of the school day, I mean, what type of conversations are you having with your players and coaches?
You know, we were, knock on wood, we haven't had too many issues. I mean, we have some week-to-week things that we have to deal with, but overall holistic program situations, we haven't had too many issues. I think we have probably one of the best things that we do have is a great set of team doctors between Dr. Young and his staff and all of the other doctors that work with this, Dr. Mitchell and his staff. We have this great resource of communication. And so what we talk with our kids is, look, we have doctors set up so that when you do feel bad, and Dr. Steve Allen being another one, we have doctors in place that we can make a phone call within a minute's notice to get kids into, to see what our situation is, whether it be COVID, strep, bronchitis, or the flu, to clear all of those things out, have communications with their parents at the same time, but this is what's taking place. So if there's a situation, we can limit as much contact as possible.
Gotcha.
Coach, talk a little bit about coming out of it seems like our halftime adjustments. Talk about your coaching staff. It seems like our halftime adjustments have really gone well, and we've come out, especially defensively and really offensively too. I mean, we're putting on a show not only on offense in the second half, but defense is stepping up, getting a few things corrected that, you know, I mean, we're seeing a few different things from teams.
I mean, I think it comes down to what you said earlier. We're going to get everybody's best game. And so we're going to see schemes that we haven't seen and things that they haven't done in the past that we've got to adjust to. Sometimes that can take a series. Sometimes that can take a halftime where we've got to sit everybody down and go, look, this is the problem. This is the correction. And the kids have done a tremendous job getting it done.
Brayson, talk a little bit about your relationship with Ryan. It looks like y'all really settled in and throwing a lot of balls to him, but you're also spreading them around to a lot of other receivers. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've had a long time to get our timing down and stuff like that, so there's really no excuse for it not to be there. As a group, we're all really close. You know, I trust every one of them. You know, I think I'm going to put it where it needs to be, and I know they're going to go get it, even if it's not. So there's really no worries there.
And look at the stats: 6 TDs last week,
Yes,
375 yards passing. I mean, I know just, you know, Ryan shared a little bit earlier, I guess maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know, that you and he had a conversation during the summertime, and, you know, we commended him on, you know, just that leadership role of, you know, hey, you're probably going to be QB1, you know, in order for our team to be better. Tell us a little bit more about y'all's relationship and how that's evolved over the years.
Yeah, you know, I mean, me and him, we've always kind of, talked about stuff even when he was in the QB room, you know. We're pretty close, I guess. Yes, sir.
What I would tell you, there's not any egos in the room between the two of them, and they've done a great job working through this where Ryan was the starter. Brayson started some last year, and then we transitioned into kind of playing both of them early on to kind of see where we were in the position and seeing where our team was in this position, and felt comfortable with what Brayson's capable of doing and what Ryan's capable of doing. But what the most commending thing to both of them is there's not been an issue ever. There's never been a stronghold where we've had to sit them down and go, hey, by the way, we've got to handle this way. It never was. They handled it themselves appropriately and have done what's best for the team since day one, since Brayson was a freshman and Ryan was a sophomore. There's never been this course issue amongst that. And so hats off to them for their character of how to handle things professionally, maturely as men handle things, and just did a great job with it.
We wished men handled things like that. Yeah, right. I think we need to send them to Washington.
Well, Brayson, thanks for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back with a couple of defensive studs from Texas High.
We are excited to announce here at Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital that we have expanded our capabilities to better serve our community. As a hospital, we have the capability for inpatient services. After your outstanding emergency care, we can smoothly transition you into one of our new inpatient rooms that have telemetry monitors in every room to continue your concierge medicine care. While our patients continue receiving their care in their inpatient suites, we also make sure that your loved ones are taken care of with our outstanding facilities. Our added services include a procedure room and also the capability of MRIs. With our imaging, we are able to offer outpatient, inpatient, and emergency room, MRI, CT, ultrasound, and X-ray. We are honored by your support and look forward to serving all your future medical needs.
We're back live here at Walk-Ons for Texarkana Game Day, and I said we were going to have a couple of defensive studs, but we actually got a guy who gives the defensive studs some problems. We got Ryan Sellers with us. He's a senior and quarterback wide receiver. Rhino, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Ryan, talk a little bit about last week, and we just talked to Brayson about some of y'all's touchdowns and y'all's relationship. Give us a little bit of insight into maybe what our game plan was last week and y'all's relationship and how y'all were able to complete so many passes and touchdowns.
Really, I think it's just a timing thing. During practice, during the weeks, any of the games, Coach Stanford has out there running multiple routes, trying to get our timing down together, and I think it pays off on Friday nights. 3 and 4 touchdowns, him throwing 200, 300 yards a game. I think it shows that, the timing's there. The execution's there, so the execution is just there.
Well, when you talk about the timing and things, what type of preparation do you do maybe outside of just the called practices?
I go back and watch film from, say we have practice Monday, I'll go home that night, watch the film, see what I messed up on, and then we'll come back the next Tuesday or the next day, practice that. And then we'll go Wednesday, Thursday, and then just keep doing it until I get it right.
When you say messed up, you mean just kind of a bad step or something. You don't mean dropping balls, right?
No. Yeah, bad steps. Some bad steps, I'll go back and I'll look at that, and I'll okay, tomorrow, scoot out a little bit more, take an extra step, get to the extra yard.
Coach Stanford talked a little bit about you and Brayson and how y'all didn't have an ego in the room. You're not one of those guys that say, hey, I want to be at quarterback or I want to be at receiver. You're kind of just going to do whatever the coaches ask you to do, and you're going to try to do it the best of your ability, correct?
Yes.
I think that's one of the things I talked with Coach Thomas at Texas Tech all week this week. Him and Jackson will sign next week with Texas Tech, and obviously big-time Trey.
Oh, yeah.
Signing 2 next week. But, in the conversation with Coach Thomas at Texas Tech, I think that's one of the things he likes most about Ryan and Jackson is just their ability to be team guys, their ability to hold a locker room together, be leaders in the locker room, bring in a lot of character of just kind of that nuts and bolts kind of thing to bring a team where there's a chemistry about it, where there's not just egos, where everybody's in it for the common goal. Nobody has to have this or that more than the other, and just to keep working hard.
Ryan, talk a little bit about last Friday night / Saturday morning. So you left last Friday night right after the game, had to take quick pictures. Your mom made us take some quick pictures,
Yes, sir.
and then y'all got on the road. Tell me where you went and exactly what happened.
I had a MLB prospect camp for baseball. Left right after the game about 12:30. Got there about 4:30. So I had enough time to probably take a little nap. And then got there. Whole bunch of great baseball players there that I played.
All 32 MLB teams.
All 32.
represented.
And some junior colleges and a couple of D2s. But other than that, it was all 34 Major League Ball clubs were there.
I heard you ran a sub-8. Is that correct? What'd you run?
We ran them in 30s. I ran a 3.86 the first time and a 3.82, and that put it together somewhere between a 6.3 and a 6.4.
That's nice. That's nice. D. Brown,
What's up?
defense for Texas High, big-time defensive
Man.
player. Tell us a little bit about last week.
It was a good game, really, but I came out and did what I had to do.
It seems like you just keep coming out every week and doing what you need to do. You know, yours wasn't a name that we mentioned early in the year or before the year started or that much last year. But you work. Tell us a little bit about your work and how hard you've worked to get where you are now. And you're one of the ones that's the most consistent on the defense, and that I hear at Texas High Stadium, I hear your name called all night long.
Yeah, I this summer I had to put a lot of work in to get to where I want to be now. And then with having Clayton there, someone I can look up to that keep me getting better and better every day. And that's how I got to where I am now.
Coach, he's starting to get a lot of looks by some big-time people, isn't he?
Yeah, it really is. You know, we put on a lot of weight this summer. That was the biggest thing coming out of his sophomore year last year, where toward the end of that sophomore year where Derek picked up the starting role and just kind of took off with it. We saw a lot of light kind of turn on. Lufkin game, playoff game, West Mesquite, all the way through there where Derek, we kind of put some stock in him. And he took that to heart and really worked hard this offseason and this summer to put on a little bit more weight, get a little bit bigger. And it's paying off for him, not just from the standpoint of what he's doing for us, but what he's doing for himself and how he's setting himself up to get a great education once he graduates from here. It's tremendously frustrating for defenses or offenses to have two guys on the edge like that. That just puts a lot of pressure where somebody's got to be single blocked. You can't double both of them. And so I think they've both done a great job stepping up, taking pressure one off the other and putting more pressure on the offense.
And you're coming off a week with an interception.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts once that ball hits your hands?
He didn't know.
I didn't. I really didn't. I had got off the block, and when I seen the ball coming, my eyes got big. But I didn't think I was going to catch it, but then again, it was in my hand.
Is that why you're on the defensive side? You didn't think you were going to catch it? Or
The better question is, why did he step out at the one?
That's exactly. I was going to say,
exactly what I was
when
gonna
you
say.
see the pylon, bro, get over it.
This past week, what was it, Gurley? He went down, or he tried to go down. Maybe that was what he was trying to do. Didn't want to run the score up. You gotta have all these things in there. But congratulations on the interception. And I mean, it is good hearing that you're stepping up this year. And I think that defense. You hold the team to 17 points like Hallsville. That's pretty salty. And so I know
Shutout in the second half too.
Well, exactly. So what have your preparations been this week for Marshall?
Let's see. The preparation is like using our hands. That's what we talk about mostly at practice with Coach Hawk. He tell us to use our hands because last week we came out sloppy in the first half. We didn't have that many outs because usually games we have the first drive we have a 3 and out, but that game it didn't, and they stuck with us until halftime, and we really came out and started using our hands, started doing what we was coached to do.
D. Brown, Coach, Rhino, thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate y'all being here. Good luck this week, and we'll see y'all next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.
We'll be right back.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire good people It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills for the right jobs. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
We are back at walk-ons. Joining us is Tony Langford down there at the end. We've got Coach Girardi, Kieran Girardi, and Noah Perkins from Queen City. And we are playing for a playoff berth this week in W, and they are in. Coach, tell us about y'all's week so far.
We really had a pretty good week, honestly. The weather's been great, nice and cool outside. Kids have been really locked in. Haven't really had to get on to them much. I think they realize what's at stake. And so we like I said, we've had really even today when our, special teams kind of light afternoon, they did a great job locking in, getting everything done, and I'm just excited to get on the field tomorrow and see how it all plays out.
Coach, you are coming off a bye week, aren't you?
Yep, we are.
Do you think that's a plus or a minus?
Man, I personally hate it. I'd just soon play 10 straight and see what happens. But we went 3 days last week, had a little rain, so we got to watch a lot of film, do some stuff inside, and hit the weight room a little harder last week during the period. But even then, looking forward to the week of that off week, I think they handled it pretty well. And I think, again, that's got a lot to do with their senior leadership in there. With 12, 13 seniors that we have, and it's been a good atmosphere.
Well, last year season was a little rough. Y'all definitely got the program turned around. Noah, tell us about what this season's meant for you and what you're looking forward to this week.
All right. Well, I've been to Queen City all my life, ever since kindergarten, and there's always been this mentality that playoffs aren't really in the picture. And so just to be able to get to experience winning this year and even get to have a chance at being in the playoffs, it's really exciting. So I'm really excited for this for tomorrow. So yeah,
it's a great feeling being part of the team that's starting to turn it around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, Kieran, tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to this week.
Man, honestly, I'm just looking forward to playing my last one in Queen City. I consider Queen City my home, and these guys, my brothers, just trying to get this W, go to the playoffs, and have some fun. That's really.
Well, I reached out to one of your other coaches today, and be glad because he didn't tell me a stinking thing. But I reached out to Coach Powell and just asked him, said hey congratulations, I hear if you win playoffs, whatever else. We just had a quick chat, and I just asked him, I said, give me some insight, and his only word was, we had a really good week of practice. So where do those good weeks of practice come from? Is it truly going to be 100% from the coaching, or we've talked 2 different times about y'all's leadership as far as your senior class? Is it a mix? I mean, where do y'all get these good weeks of practice from?
I would definitely say it's a mix. I mean, the coaches, they give us the tools to succeed, and those good week of practices come from, us using those tools correctly and locking in, being focused, and using those tools that they give us. So I definitely would say it's a big mix. Seniors getting on like the underclassmen to lock in too and focus.
Well, and I know just from my experiences, watching the success that Pleasant Grove has had over the past few years, it has to start somewhere.
Right.
And Noah, you talking about how you started in kindergarten in Queen City and able to come up, to be able to have a senior class that your underclassmen can look up to and experience just the practices with you, because there's a right way to practice and there's a wrong way to practice. But tell us about the impact that y'all see the team have even at the middle school and elementary school. Because I know, talking to another parent, there's some excitement that the younger kids are wanting to go to the football games. And I know from my experiences that hasn't always been the case when you don't have a winning team.
Yes, sir.
But just tell us about the total school and the culture that's being developed in Queen City.
Yeah, we've had the school, come behind us this whole year and support us. And, usually the stands aren't packed. And I know with COVID, we can only have a limited amount. But there's been a lot of people that are coming to the games when they can. And like I said, the community's backing us up. And so I have a little buddy in middle school. His name's Rustin. And he comes to me after every game wanting a picture. I've been to a couple of his games on Saturday for the Little League, and I've talked to him, and, he said that they just want to be like us because we're the people they look up to. So, yeah.
Coach, I was looking at y'all's records, both of y'all 5-3, and looking at comparable scores against teams y'all played, and y'all look pretty evenly matched. Are y'all? Are y'all looking for a dogfight?
Yeah, we are, and we saw a little bit of that last year. We played them first week of the year last year, went to overtime. They ended up getting us. They beat us by 1 in overtime, and so that was. I don't want to say history, a rivalry, or anything like that, but I think we're both kind of under that impression that it's not going to be an easy route for either one of us, and it's going to be a dogfight. And I think I'm hoping the thing that we have in our favor, as opposed to maybe some other guys that we've played, is these guys that they feel like they had chances to win that game. They feel like they're a better football team this year than we were last year, just all around for a bunch of different reasons. And I really think they're looking forward to getting over that hump against those guys, and being at home the last week of the year is kind of a big deal too. They've been pretty fired up about it. So yeah.
Well, Tony mentioned the similarities, and 5-3, 2-3 in district. They've allowed 23.87 points a game. Y'all have allowed 23. They've scored 19 points a game. Y'all have scored 18.87. So I'm expecting a very, very good game.
Yeah.
From a fan perspective, I think it's going to be a good second half. And so, I think there's going to have to be some halftime talks, and with it being the last game of the year, what are y'all going to tell your team going into that game?
You know, like you said, it's our last game in Queen City. So, you know, hopefully they come behind us and, you know, rally with us to get that last dub in the city. So, yeah.
Guys, always remember this, though, because it don't get any funner than what you're doing right now. I promise you'll remember it forever.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, we'll go to a break and bring on some other guys from Queen City, and we'll be back in just a second.
If you're looking for authentic Cajun-style meats prepared and ready to cook and take home, look no further than Lanyard Specialty Meats. We here at Lanyard Specialty Meats select nothing but premium meats, and we season it to perfection so that you'll have all of Acadiana flavor here in your own home. Come by Lanyard Specialty Meats for all your tailgating needs for this football season or hunting season. Remember, Lanyard Specialty Meats.
Lanyards is an official sponsor and proud supporter of Texarkana Game Day.
We are back at Walk-Ons once again. Tony Langford here and Coach Girardi. We've got Justin Lance joining us and DeMar Roscoe. Tell us about the preparations that y'all have had from y'all's perspective this week.
I just think, like, focusing. Like, we came to practice every day and just, like, listen to the coaches, do what we had to do.
And what about you?
Really, what he said, a lot of focus. You know, this game depends on if we go to playoffs or not. So we've really been dialing in, just getting ready for this week.
Well, when you're playing, we talked a little bit before that y'all play on both sides. Lance, which side do you prefer?
Definitely defense.
All right.
Definitely defense.
And Roscoe, how about you?
I'm offensive guy.
All right. So do y'all ever play a little one-on-one at practice, or do y'all ever see each other?
Not me and him.
Okay.
they're usually out there together.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We try to keep it that way.
I would imagine so. Well, tell us about the preparation that y'all have had, because I mean this could be the last game. So is there any pressure built upon that, or do you think that the coaches have prepared y'all for that all season long? And then, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, the team itself.
I definitely think there's a lot of pressure in it, but I really do. We have prepared for it, and I really do think we're ready for this game.
Roscoe?
Yeah, same. I think that we should come out, and if we do what we've been doing all week at practice, it'll turn out good.
Guys, playoffs start tomorrow. I mean, they don't start in a few weeks. They start tomorrow. So be ready to come and bring it, because the Harleton's going to be ready too. So
no doubt.
Well, the previous section, we talked about how close the team stats are. How much time have y'all spent just trying to see what they like to do, and then what type of things are y'all going to do to impose y'all's will on them?
Oh, well, we know they like to run the ball a lot. So, like, I play outside linebacker. So Coach Girardi wants me to just cut the guys that come at me.
Hey, man, easy now. They may be watching this.
Harleton's been running the ball for a long time.
Yeah, they have.
They've had some great running backs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about these players and what your expectations are.
Shoot, man, all we've talked about is just go do your job and do the best at it as you can be. And they've really lived that up, you know, all year long. And you know, when you talk about this being, you know, possibly the last game, you know, definitely the last game at home, we've been talking about all season this could be the last game with the COVID stuff. So we're kind of used to, hey, man, this might be it. And so our approach to it has really been, I would say for the most part, it's been the same. Yeah. I think we hyped up a little bit more this week, the urgency, you know, and trying to get that playoff spot and really trying to raise the bar for Queen City football. Our younger guys, they've got a couple playoff games coming up at home this Saturday, so that's fun to see, with our Little League groups coming up. And, just kind of piggyback on something Noah said, just about those younger kids looking up to these guys. And they've been around for a long time, and they know these younger kids in school, and they do look up to them. And I think they've embraced that a little bit, and they truly have a good time playing football, I think.
Well, you mentioned COVID. And from my perspective, our local school districts, I think, have done a real good job at being able to educate each of the different sports teams and the extracurricular groups to be able to social distance, wear the mask and stuff. But what type of hurdles do you see outside of school, though? I mean, or as far as the kids, once the kids are off campus, they're going to their homes or they're going to friends' houses or stuff like that. I mean, what type of approach are you taking outside, with your players outside of practices in school?
Yeah, obviously we're telling them the same things. Hey, when you're in crowds, when you're around people, just do the best you can. We know that they like to get together on weekends and hang out and that kind of stuff. So, you just kind of crossing your fingers. You still want them to be kids. You still want them to live life. And so if you totally take that away from them, man, they're gonna it could get nuts, right?
I agree.
So we just hopefully they've been as responsible as they can be and be safe in the times that they know when it's to be safe. And otherwise just go be a teenage senior and have a good time and enjoy life and get ready to go play a football game. So.
This has been a different season.
Man, it has. There's no doubt. Yeah.
Now, Lance and Roscoe, from y'all's perspective, you've got COVID in the background that could take a team out. I mean, what's y'all's approach? I mean, I love the aspect that you basically said we've already been coaching that this could be the last game. I mean, how is that going through an entire season, basically knowing this could be the last game?
It's hard. You just want to play every day like it's your last. Come to practice every day and focus like you don't have another one.
What about you, Lance?
Yes, about the same. We don't know. We could shut down for 2 weeks and it'll be done right then and there. So it's about.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that W at the end of the night for y'all, and really looking forward to seeing what type of impact that y'all can make. The one thing that I've seen here locally with some of our schools is that 3 and 4 seed can still be ugly. And so, I think, that y'all are peaking. And so I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to, accomplish over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
That's right. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, our district's tough, and this whole area of Texas is a tough area. And it's not to take, we've been, been down south a little bit a few times, and just not to take anything away from those guys because there's a lot of talent in Crockett, Newton, and those kids. But, man, it's just there's not an off week up here.
It's like that in every classification here, too.
Is.
I mean, 3A, 4A, 2. I mean, a lot of talent in this area.
It's a great place to be, great place to coach, man. It really is.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming and allowing us to be able to talk to your players, and we've got a lot of fans in East Texas that are going to be rooting y'all on this week, and just looking forward to seeing what y'all are able to accomplish.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us back and getting to shine some on these kids a little bit here and there. So it's been really good, and we appreciate Texarkana Game Day for what y'all are doing for everybody in the area.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with some Liberty-Eylau players.
Good luck, guys.
Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful, handcrafted stone is our passion, and we ensure our customers receive the quality they deserve. We stand by our word, we stand by our products, services, and work that we do. Our team of experienced craftsmen and product experts have been perfecting their craft of fabricating and installing stone since 1998. Visit the Design Center at Red River Lumber to see the many beautiful stone options available for your next project.
are back at Walk-Ons, and we've got Matt Fry here to talk some Liberty-Eylau football and just talk about our district as a whole. But
man,
tell us about this upcoming game and the implications that it's going to have for Liberty-Eylau.
Yeah, so a few things. First one, we had a couple guys scheduled tonight. One ended up having a family deal he had to go to. Another one, I think, got banged up during practice. He's having to do some therapy stuff. And, of course, usually my man Chop is here. He's having to take care of his wife, right now, so they're dealing with some stuff there. But tomorrow night, the Leopards take on Pittsburgh. Final home game of the season, final district game in what for us would normally be a traditional senior night. We did a little bit earlier because we honestly didn't know if we were going to still be playing football at this point.
We were actually there on that game.
And but we play a Pittsburgh team coming in tomorrow night. And here's the deal for the Leopards. Everything tomorrow night is about seeding. The second week of district, we had a cancellation with Spring Hill because of COVID. They got COVID. When that happens, they have to forfeit. It's an 18-point loss. So there's no way for the Leopards to not be in the playoffs as we go forward. What it is going to matter is tomorrow night, if we get the victory, we come out with a third seed. If we are the third seed, that means we play Van, a team we've already seen, a team that we have some experience with. We'll play them in Marshall next Friday at 7:30. If Pittsburgh wins tomorrow night, they get in the playoffs and Spring Hill doesn't. Pittsburgh is going to be coming in with a full head of steam. They're going to be coming in wanting to get a victory. They lost to Spring Hill last week. They have to beat us by more than 4 in order for that to work out for them. And so it's a big game for us. And Coach, has talked to the players about that and said, do you understand? Here's what it is. Even though it's not technically our senior night, those guys, it's their last night to play on Harris Field.
Well, momentum's huge, too,
and
going into the playoffs
exactly.
with a win.
You don't want to limp into the playoffs. You don't want to go back into the playoffs. And so really have to kind of take stock of what does the Leopard team look like right now. We come in, had 2 games early in district. The second one was canceled. 2 games back-to-back in the hardest part of our district in the middle with Gilmer and Pleasant Grove. Now coming back, wanting to get some momentum, like you say, as we get ready to go. We're banged up. In the Gilmer game, we had 2 guys that were out or that went out in that game, quarterback and a starting tailback. Starting tailback out for the season. 3 linemen also injured in that game who did not play the next week in the Pleasant Grove game. So a lot of inconsistencies on the offensive side of the ball. You got 5 starters that aren't there, didn't play last week. We expect a couple of the linemen to be back this week. The quarterback may be back, but you got to plan for contingencies that he's not. And then, of course, Damian Henderson, kind of the all-everything back guy, is out with an ACL season. Yeah, and that hurts for us. Henderson shows up on 2 sides of the ball, not because he plays a lot on defense, but to Kalen Hampton, who comes in and spells him on offense. Played a good game last week versus Pleasant Grove. He ran the ball well. That kid will knock your head in the dirt on defense, but we kind of need him on the offensive side of the ball. So that shows up in a lot of places as well. So tomorrow night, though, it's, hey, this is who we are. This is the team. This is what we've got going forward. You got to get out here and play. And to me, the biggest question going into tomorrow night is what is the offense going to look like? Are we going to be able to sustain some things and get some stuff going? Having the full offensive line there is going to help. Yeah. That's going to help you be able to move the ball. We moved the ball pretty well against a Gilmer football team that I think probably has the fastest defense of anybody that we've played this entire year. We did pretty well against them. Last week didn't do too well with some of the backup guys in, plus a front 7 for Pleasant Grove that I think is kind of geared to go against what we were doing, because in a game where we did not have a quarterback that could pass, we didn't have somebody that knew how to do that. I think this week you'll see some different things at the quarterback level. I think you'll see some things where you try to get the ball into your athletes' hands and you have a bunch of different packages and you have time to prepare for that. The second thing I think you'll see is you'll continue to see our defense playing quick, playing hard-hitting football. Our defense has scored a touchdown. I think they've scored one in every game. I know that we've had multiple turnovers in every game.
Yeah, I don't know how many minutes we've been in this segment, but you just now brought the defense up.
Well, that's and I just wanted to say what we had to fix for tomorrow, what we need to look at. But what's going to get us there is this defense. You're right, exactly right.
And I recognized how strong that defense was early in the season. And I think Mejia or Van, if all they do is look at the numbers, look at the wins and losses, I'm liking Liberty-Eylau. First of all, I think Liberty-Eylau is going to beat Pittsburgh handily.
I do too.
I think I would love for Liberty-Eylau to catch Van.
Yes.
That's who I want them to catch.
Mm-hmm.
and then, after that, let the cards fall where they fall. But I think that Liberty-Eylau's defense is going to surprise whoever they play in that first round.
I think Liberty-Eylau secondary is one of the best in the area. I mean, they've got some studs back there. And, the D-line's good. I just think Pittsburgh are going to have unless the defense is on the field the whole time. And, I think the coach is going to make some adjustments with the offense this week. You have another week to prepare, like you said earlier. And I think the defense is going to shut Pittsburgh down. I've got LE by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, we know, going back to play this Van team that we're looking at, if we get a win tomorrow night, which I'm like you guys, I feel like we can do that. If we show up and play like we're supposed to, we're going to get that win. Going up against the Van team, we walked into that ball game not knowing what they were dealing with quarterback-wise and that stuff. So they came out in a different situation, come out Wildcat heavy, run heavy. So everything that we had prepared for them was different than what we had. We had 4 defensive players out that night. We had 5 coaches out that night. In the year of COVID, you can't make excuses for anything. But in 2 weeks, if we show up in C-Van, you're going to see 2 different teams meeting on the field than met down there in their stadium a few weeks ago. And in that situation, I feel like we line up better. And you're right, our defense is markedly better than they have been. Our defense has done a good job. In the last 2 games, the points that were scored and the times that happened either were something big that broke over the top, somebody messed up an assignment, and there was just a screw-up on there, which is going to happen when you got 15 to 17-year-olds playing out there, or it was – the defense just got wore down, and that's where I think the offense is going to have to play complementary football. You don't have to go out there and be world beaters. But if you get, the Gilmer game, I think we had 5 turnovers. You got to score points when you get turnovers.
Right.
That's what it is.
The hardest thing on a good defense is turnovers that makes the field short and staying on the field a long period of time. They've had to do both.
But I feel good about what that defense looks like. And, again, I feel good about how that will line up tomorrow night. Now, Pittsburgh's got some guys that can play. They've got a kid that plays linebacker that is going to be a first-team all-district cat. He can play. He can move around really well. I think what they try to do on offense, I think we defend well. I think we're going to give them trouble there. It's one of those games. I feel like tomorrow night, if we can come out, if our offense can get a couple of scores, can go down and do something, I feel like our defense at this point, you almost have to chalk up a defensive touchdown when Liberty-Eylau's playing, and then I think we got a chance to pull something out. Maybe they're about I'm looking for somewhere around a 22-18 game, something like that.
And I think that it's going to be relatively low scoring as well, and I do think that the defense does step up. One of the things that I've been impressed with this year is just the culture change, and we've talked about it numerous times. And I know going into a game like this, your coaching sort of changes because your opportunities, you're trying to get yourself set up for a seed. You're trying to do different things. Do we have any players that have really stepped up this year, as far as on the JV team that the coaches have started to move them up? Or, what are some names that we haven't heard this year that we're probably going to hear a couple of times this coming Friday?
Well, the last 2 weeks, Cooper came up from JV. I can't remember his first name, but Cooper came up, and, of course, there's been several Coopers that have come through Liberty-Eylau. He had played JV for quite some time. He comes up playing receiver, and he's one of those guys that shows up, and you see him catching balls and making receptions and doing that kind of stuff, especially in the Gilmer game. But then a lot of times when we would see a big run break somewhere, you look down, and sure enough, he's the one that's out there blocking and making that seal block. I really like to see that. He's kind of a big-bodied kid. He's a sophomore that's playing out there. And then another young man, I wish I was – Joseph Lavender was going to come with me. He's my color guy. He has like a memory vault in his head. He'll know some more. But we've had 2 or 3 others last week that I start looking at and going, man, who is this kid that continues to keep making these plays? And it's a sophomore kid that's out there. He's been moved up from JV. And so you're going to see that. Chris Lewis is going to be somebody, and he's the one that's getting looked at the school right now. But he's going to be one of those kids that has to have a big game, has to do some things. He was our leading receiver. He's been showing up in the stats every week. He's back there playing that quarterback position now. Different spot for him will be a lot of read option stuff. He can throw the ball around as well. Offense has to be adjusted and simplified, do some things to highlight what he can do. But I think we're really going to see where athleticism comes into play, and that's one thing at Liberty-Eylau we've been blessed with. And like you talk about, you take that and now you tie it in with a cultural difference of the belief system and what we expect to see from this team. Our defensive coordinator, Coach Gomez, if you met this guy, not a big dude. He's around 72, okay? He's a cowboy, like a legitimate cowboy, all right? He showed me the first time I see him, he's on a Harley with boots and this kind of stuff. And you see him come up, and I was like, this dude is fixing to show up at Liberty-Eylau. But you know what? That dude is intense. He's full tilt, and he just, and the kids love him. And they know that he loves them, and that is the mentality that our defense has taken. All of a sudden, those guys are acting that same kind of way, and I think everything starts to reflect coaching. Everything reflects that, the character and the act right, show up in class, do what you're supposed to do. One of the things that impresses me the most about our coaching staff this year is we do a tutorial on Monday nights in our library for any kids that need help. And teachers can volunteer to come be a part of that. And every Monday night when that's going on, half of our coaching staff is at football practice. The other half is in there tutoring kids, whether they're athletes or not. And he tells them, you're coaches, but you're teachers. And then in halfway through practice, they flip-flop. And they send other ones in there. And when you start at that level with your coaches, eventually that's going to start showing up with your kids.
No, that's huge, because not only do the students see that athletics is important, but so are the academics.
Yes, sir.
And it's funny because, for those that really don't know a lot about Liberty-Eylau, there's a lot of history there.
Oh, yeah.
And academically, we've got some incredible people that have come out of Liberty-Eylau.
Yes, sir.
Athletically, we've had some incredible people come out of Liberty-Eylau. And so for me to be able to see from the outside in, not being that Leopard fan, to be able to see the success that Liberty-Eylau is starting to have and the culture change, I'm extremely excited for Liberty-Eylau. I'm excited for Texarkana. And then I'm definitely excited to see over the next few years the competitiveness that Liberty-Eylau is going to have. You're going to have Pleasant Grove, and Gilmer stays in the district. I mean, we've taken that little saying of Beast Texas, and I mean,
it's a real thing.
It literally is going to be, one of the top districts in the state of Texas.
Yes,
now,
it always is.
Now, sort of switching gears and talking about the Pittsburgh game. I mean, what do you see? As far as the most important thing that defense is going to have to do against Pittsburgh?
It's really going to be playing discipline up front. Pittsburgh is going to try to spread us out enough to soften up that middle, which is what everybody tries to do against us. For us, the front four linemen down there are going to have to be the ones that make plays, put pressure on the quarterback, but also protect the middle of that football field. You'll see people occasionally, they'll start trying to run side to side against us, and they figure out you can't do that. It's not going to work. And so they start pushing everything back toward the middle, and they'll try to get you caught outside. The front four are going to have to keep everything pushed inside, and then those linebackers have to be able to come up and make plays on the defensive side of the ball. I think if we can do that, I think that forces them to try to throw it around a little bit. And so far this year, if teams are forced to throw against us, that usually ends up being bad for them.
Yeah. Well, I know the attempts that they made against Pleasant Grove, I have a feeling the defensive backs from Liberty-Eylau are going to have a very, very good evening.
Yes.
What I saw from Pittsburgh and their quarterback is that he's throwing to a spot and not necessarily to a player.
Correct.
And when you take the defensive backs of Liberty-Eylau and compare them athleticism to most of the schools around here, I'll go ahead and take Liberty-Eylau.
Yes.
So if it's going to be two players going up for a ball, and it's 50-50, it's not 50-50.
Correct.
So I have a feeling that there's going to be a large number of turnovers. One thing that is sort of a missing link for me is that offensive side.
100%.
Are we going to be able to turn those into points? Struggle a little bit against Gilmer. Struggled some against Pleasant Grove to be able to get to get in the end zone. But like you said on previous segment here, preseason or the playoffs start tomorrow.
That's it.
And so I think Liberty-Eylau is poised to make a pretty good run.
For me this year, their mental toughness has been superior than what it was last year. The biggest moment for me watching LE football this year is when they played Waxahachie, and they got down pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then at the end of the game, it ended up being a blowout the other way. Last year, if they would have got down, they'd get their heads down a little bit.
Correct.
And couldn't pull it out. But this year they were down by, 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
And they come off, reeled off about 5 touchdowns in a row, something like that. And that's where they showed me what they're capable of.
And it'll come down exactly like you say, the offense having to get some stuff in. Last week, I know there were 3 times that we had it first and goal. So you're inside the 10-yard line there against Pleasant Grove. And then, one time the center rolls the ball backwards and it goes back there and we get a turnover. One time we get a penalty from somebody on the sideline that wasn't even involved in the football game. That kind of stuff, and that's what I talked to Coach about. I said, you don't have a lot of hair, but I know that makes you want to pull your hair out. You clean that kind of stuff up.
Yeah.
And then you can go in and you punch that stuff in, and you're not putting your defense in as big of a hole. And that's what tomorrow night's going to be. If the defense gets stops, defense gives you a short field. On the offensive side, you've got to go out, you've got to take advantage of it. And I think that now we have a plan going forward. We've had time to prepare for it. And I think you're going to see some things from the Liberty-Eylau offense tomorrow night that we do capitalize on those opportunities.
That's also replacing the quarterback and the running back. Pleasant Grove being the first game doing that. That's putting in the rough.
3 linemen was the biggest, and a lot of people didn't know that beforehand intentionally. And that's just gamesmanship of football, right? But that shows up because then you make mistakes and you get people back there in your backfield and that kind of stuff.
Well, to me, this is going to be an exciting game, and with COVID being here and being real,
it is.
We've got limited seating on here, but go ahead and share with everyone how they can go ahead and listen to the game.
Yeah, so you can listen to us 107.1 KTFS. I'm on there every week. Joseph Lavender does color with me. Derek Lavender, who's actually his son, and a former Leopard player, he does stats for us on there. So we'll be on 107.1 tomorrow night, 7 o'clock pregame show, 7:30 kickoff. It'll also be live streamed right here on Texarkana Gameday. So we'll be providing the audio for that. And so you can keep up with us on there. So you can watch the video right here on Texarkana Gameday. Listen to us on 107.1 and that. If you need to get tickets for tomorrow night, you buy them on our website, leisd.net. No tickets are sold at the gate. Make sure you get them there and get them before you can't get them. We have to limit the number of seats, and that's what we got.
Well, appreciate your time tonight,
yeah, man.
And I'm looking forward to a good game. And like I said, I'll be rooting for Liberty-Eylau when they play the Vandals.
Sounds good.
And
right.
we'll come back.
You,
we'll come back here in a few seconds and talk maybe some area games. We are back, and Tony, it's just you and I, and definitely want to send some prayers out to Morgan Smith and his family. They're dealing with a family death right now, and so he wasn't able to be with us tonight. But definitely prayers for his family. And Craig started a new job this week, and they actually need him.
I know that's rare.
And so it ended up being just you and I tonight. But I did want to go ahead and talk about some of the area games that we've got going on, and we'll go ahead and keep it like we have been, and just talk about some Arkansas schools first. We've got Falk at 1-5 playing a local Genoa. That's 3-4. I personally think that Genoa is going to come out with a win on this one.
I got Genoa.
This game's going to be for a lot of pride because the playoffs have already left both of these teams. Yeah. So they're going to be playing for some pride. So I know that that's going to be a real good game. Falcons struggled scoring this year, so I think that's why Genoa is going to end up pulling this one out.
Genoa's got a pretty good little running back. I think they'll move the ball decently well against Falk.
Well, they both teams have scored more than 30 points a game. I'm sorry, their defensive have allowed it. So I anticipate this one being a very, very high-scoring game. One of the games that we were going to talk about, and it's actually going on right now, and that's Foreman in Mineral Springs. A lot of the talking heads that I've seen out there have picked Foreman to win this one, but I'm actually going with Mineral Springs. I've been impressed with their quarterback all year long. I've been watching his stats, but Terrell Fricks, he's already got 915 yards passing, 13 TDs through the air. And what's even more impressive is he's got 615 yards on the ground and added another 10 TDs.
Well, that's a hard one for me. I probably got Foreman. I think Foreman's very well coached. And for a small school, they've got a lot of size. We met some of them boys, and there's some big old boys in Foreman. So I got Foreman by a little.
Well, if they can control the quarterback, they've got this game easily won. But with him being such a dual threat, he's a little concerning for me. The next one that we're going to talk about is going to be Nashville, ranked number 4 in their division, playing against Bauxite. I just think Nashville's got too much to them. Ty Gordon's having a great season. And so, I expect them to continue putting 30-plus points up.
I will say I don't know a whole lot about Bauxite, but I do know a lot about Nashville, and I agree with you 100%. I think Gordon is going to have a field day on him.
Well, Bauxite's only scoring about 21 points a game, and that's not going to beat Nashville. The big game locally for the Arkansas side is going to be Arkansas High is going to be bringing in D Queen. I was reading something this week, and it was talking to Coach Norton, and Coach Norton said that he was a little concerned with this previous week that they just weren't playing with enthusiasm. And I think this is going to be another week where it's going to be tough to play with some enthusiasm. D Queen's coming in 0-9. Arkansas High's coming in at 5-0. This is not going to be a pretty game, in my opinion.
I've always hated playing a team that has a way worse record than us. You're always worried about them playing down to the competition. I think Arkansas is the much better team. I think they're going to win big, but it's hard to get up for a game like that.
Well, and I mean from a coaching standpoint, it's got to be a little frustrating, especially when they're trying to get ready to go, make this deep playoff run, and with Arkansas High being ranked number 5. There's a little more pressure that once you get into the playoffs, you need to do something. So, it'll be interesting to see, how the team plays and how hard they play for the whole 4 quarters. That's one of the things that's sort of been concerning to me with Pleasant Grove is that they really haven't had to play 4 quarters but just 2 games this year. And so sometimes that can, maybe not set you up for that much success in the playoffs.
Well, Arkansas's had a few nail biters though at the end of the game. They've won 1 or 2 at the end of the game, and this just isn't going to be one of them games.
No. And of course, the good thing is I think Coach Norton's going to be able to see what his younger players are all about too. So I think you'll have a lot of second, third, maybe even some 4th-string players get some game time.
You never know when you're going to need one of them young players.
That's true. And it just seems that every year that playoff run in Arkansas just gets tough. Because in Arkansas, it's a little bit different in Texas. Because you can run into a private school buzzsaw, and not saying that private schools recruit, but they've got a large selection of students statewide that they can choose from.
Private schools win a lot.
We'll see. Switching, moving into the Texas side, we've got James Bowie playing Maud. This is going to be another one of those pride games because they're basically just down the road from each other. The one thing that I will give the edge to is James Bowie because since they've been in district play, they've scored more than 36 points a game.
Yeah, I think James Bowie's the more all-around team between defense and offense. I think Maud has a good little quarterback on him. I just think James Bowie's going to pull that one out.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed even with James Bowie's defense. I mean, they're averaging less than giving up 24 points a game. Maud's been allowing 35, so I think it'll be close, but I think that James Bowie just puts up too many points. The next one going to be Paul Pewitt and Redwater. Redwater's going to be playing for pride on this one. I've got Paul Pewitt to win. I just don't know how they can stop DeAndre Hill. I know he sort of gave me a little hard time a couple weeks ago on Instagram or wherever it was out there because we didn't really say that they were going to get the win that week, but we'll see.
Well, to be fair, they started off a little slow.
They did.
They started off a little slow, and I think it took the coach a little while to get his offense in there, get over this COVID stuff. They've gotten better, a lot better as the seasons went on. So, I've got Paul Pewitt. Now, I'm a Redwater guy. I've coached half the boys on that team.
Sure.
I love Preston, Dalton, Robertson, Landon Morgan. I'm pulling for them. I just think Paul Pewitt is going to be too much for him.
Well, I went back and looked at some stats for Paul Pewitt, and Tanner Mines already has 70 tackles for the year. And of course, they've only played 8 games.
Hey, Lathan, I think Lathan's got more than that. I can't remember where he's at, but it's
pretty
up
impressive.
There.
And then Hooks at Prairieland. I've got Hooks winning this one. I just can't see Prairieland being able to hold them. They're actually 1-4 in district. So Prairieland's probably got their work cut out for them with Hooks. And I think Hooks is peaking at the right time.
Well, Hooks is like Paul Pewitt. Hooks at the first of the season to me didn't look nowhere close to where they're at right now between getting healthy. And they also had some COVID issues at the beginning of the year, didn't they?
Right. Yes, they did. They did.
So, I mean, it's like Gilmer at the first year was barely beating some teams. I mean, they were missing a lot of players. I mean, when you're missing players, it's hard to fill that in.
Well, we talked about Queen City already, and we'll go back to them a little bit later. But another Cass County school, Atlanta's playing Jefferson at Atlanta. Both Atlanta and Queen City, if they win, they're in. Okay. And so the drawback to that is if Atlanta wins, and I think they will beat Jefferson.
I do too.
They've got Mineola on their plate the first week, I believe. That's the way that the playoffs are going to come. The one thing that I think Atlanta's going to have to do to win this week and to have some success in the playoffs is the defense is going to have to step up a little bit more than what they've been doing. I've really been surprised at how many points Atlanta's been giving up this year.
Well, but let me ask you, how great is it for them to start off the way they started?
Oh, sure.
I mean, they did not start off, playing well, and to being able to put it together to have it to go into the playoffs, that's huge.
Oh, sure. And then we'll go ahead and switch it to Harleton and Queen City. I've got Queen City pulling this one out. The coach, whenever we talked with him, one of the struggles that they've had in district is getting points on the board, and I really think that they make that switch this week and they beat Harleton.
I don't think Harleton's secondary is where it should be, and I think Queen City's going to be able to throw the ball on them. I got Queen City, but I think it's going to go down to the wire.
Right. White Oak at New Boston. As much as I want to pick New Boston, I just don't think that they've got enough to beat White Oak. There's the old saying, defense wins championships.
Oh, yeah.
And, right now, New Boston's allowing 36 points a game, and I just don't think that defense is going to be able to hold White Oak.
I agree. I got White Oak in that one also.
And a game that I'll definitely be listening to as we're watching Gilmer and Pleasant Grove is going to be the Pittsburgh and Liberty-Eylau game. I think that Liberty-Eylau is going to pull this one off, and if they do, they're going to get to play Van first week of the playoffs.
I do. I think Liberty-Eylau is going to come in, and I'm hearing they got their offensive linemen back, and I think they're going to concentrate on the run, play good defense, and I've got them by a touchdown.
And then we've got number 3 Pleasant Grove traveling to number 5 Gilmer. I have a feeling that this one's going to be chippy from the kickoff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that it's going to come down to who makes the fewer mistakes. I think Gilmer's got a very, very good quarterback. I think that the Pleasant Grove secondary is going to have their hands full. But it's going to boil down to who makes the fewest mistakes.
Yeah, as everybody know, I'm from Gilmer. I pull for the Buckeyes, but not when they play Pleasant Grove or Liberty-Eylau. And I will say this, Gilmer has a great offense. But, you know, I was watching Pleasant Grove last week, and, you know, they've lost Burris, they've lost Landon. That's huge. But it looked like the defense came together and played as a unit. And, I mean, they played great football last week. So I don't see them – I don't see it affecting them a whole lot. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to hold Gilmer to a mid-20s, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we do know is that the winner's going to play Canton and the loser's going to play Bullen. As far as playoffs go, I just think Pleasant Grove. I think that they're going to win.
I do too.
I don't think that Gilmer, has enough to get it through the Pleasant Grove defense all 4 quarters.
I know Gilmer's ranked number 5, and they're a really good team, but they are a tad inconsistent. If you watch the scores against the teams they've played, they've had close games they probably shouldn't have had, and so I've got Gilmer. Pleasant Grove by a touchdown or so.
And last but not least, we're going to talk a little perfection. Number 7, Texas High, coming in at 7-0, 2-0 in district. Is going to be at Marshall, who's 3-2 and 1-1 in district. I think that Texas High is probably the best Texas High team I've seen in quite a while. I cannot imagine that Marshall's going to be able to match up to them. And I've just got Texas High.
I think Marshall's a pretty decent football team. I will say that I think that Texas High is better than number 7, just in my opinion. And I think Texas High is going to win it and win it big.
Well, and I think this is one of those seasons like Pleasant Grove had back in 2017, where you maybe didn't get the respect of the strength of your team. And I think that Texas High is putting their name on the board this year. And I think moving forward, in East Texas and even on the Arkansas side, I'm excited to see what type of teams and success starts coming out of Texarkana and the Texarkana area, because you're having a lot of players for each school that are playing on the field.
Yeah.
Where I think in previous years maybe some of your athletes didn't play just because the success wasn't there. Yeah. And I think all the schools around here have made a culture change, and so I'm definitely excited to be able to see that. The one thing that I'll say that sort of goes against Texas High is that there's 2 other teams in their district that are also perfect. So in order for them to stay, the number 1 seed in their district, they probably going to have to win out.
That's a tough district.
And so, I think that's, it's going to be interesting to see them, because, with them starting so much later than your under divisions, we're going to get to see a lot of good football moving on from here.
To me, the biggest surprise to me is how explosive Texas High is, though. Their passing game is fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I just think they're going to put up about 45 points on Marshall.
Ryan Sellers has just been impressive out at wide receiver, and I just think that it's going to be an extremely high scoring game. And I think they leave Marshall by halftime. This game's over.
I agree.
So, well, we are going to call it an evening, and appreciate your time and appreciate all of our guests that we had tonight. Definitely want to thank all of our sponsors, and once again, we've got prayers for Morgan and his family, and we will see you tomorrow night.